An openly gay Methodist minister in Wisconsin convicted of breaking church law will be suspended.
During a church trial in Kaukauna, a jury made up of church officials suspended Amy DeLong for 20 days starting July 1st. The jury found the Western Wisconsin pastor guilty of officiating a gay marriage, which is against United Methodist Church law. Fox 11's Cameron Clark brings us balanced coverage tonight.
After nearly 8 hours of jury deliberation and learning her punishment from the United Methodist Church, Reverend Amy DeLong left the room with a kiss from her partner Val.
And I do hope that this signals to folks around the country and around the world that the United Methodists in Wisconsin aren't going to throw their gay children out.
DeLong says the tiring process was made easier, knowing she was doing it for people like Carolyn Larson and Carrie Johnson. DeLong was punished for conducting their union ceremony.
It was the most meaningful day in our lives. Like Amy said, she conducted it like any other marriage ceremony.
And knowing there could be more consequences, DeLong says if she were approached by another same-sex couple,
I would treat them like every couple that ever comes to me for a wedding.
DeLong's suspension includes several conditions, one of those being that she writes a paper for other clergy on how to avoid situations and trials like this in the future. If she does not meet those conditions, the suspension could extend to 1 year. The counsel for the church asked for an indefinite suspension until DeLong wrote a signed statement saying she will not conduct any more same-sex ceremonies.
We feel good about the fact that it recognized that harm occurred to the clergy covenant, that it created an adversarial spirit within our church.
Both sides agree that the punishment leaves room for a positive outcome for the church.
We don't know what will change the church. All I know is that we're taking our next step of faithfulness to try to provide a welcoming place for all people.
What that outcome may be.
Well, I think if she uses this process as an opportunity to promote the acceptance of homosexuality and to override the beliefs of the majority of United Methodists in the pew, I think it would be not well received by that group.
The jury is still out. In Kaukauna, Cameron Clark, Fox 11 News.
The church jury did find DeLong not guilty of a second charge, being what the church calls a self-avowed practicing homosexual. Homosexuals are allowed to be ministers in the United Methodist Church, but only if they are celibate. The jury ruled there was not enough evidence of prohibited sexual conduct.
It was a proper verdict based on the fact that she would not avow before the trial court. She is not guilty of being a self-avowed practicing homosexual.
That was a huge fear of mine. I don't ever want to suggest in any way that I am ashamed of who I am. But what helped me is when I rethought that, and the shame is not mine. The shame is the church's for ever asking me about the intimate, private details of my life with my partner.
None of today's decisions change any laws within the United Methodist Church. That can only be done at the annual conference, which meets next in the spring of next year. The trial was held in Kaukauna because of its centralized location.